Speakers have given an overview of fair trade from the producer perspective and from the consumer's perspective, focusing, particularly from the consumer's perspective, focusing on food. Sasha really deals with crafts and textiles, and my presentation is about a very essential question which it focuses on is how do you keep the craft businesses, the fair trade craft businesses sustainable, not only sustainable, viable and thriving. So for this presentation, as the title says, it is the role of technology, design and product development in sustaining fair trade craft businesses. Very briefly about our organization, we are a 32-year-old organization which was started by a group of professionals, designers, development workers, where our key motivation was to deal with poverty issues for rural artisans, handicraft producers, and while dealing with poverty, also working to ensure, as we heard in our talks yesterday, recognizing the role of their own culture, the need for preserving, promoting and keeping that culture alive, as well as for restoring their dignity and the pride in their own skills, providing opportunity for them to express what is essential to the craft communities and to the rural artisans. So our way of working with this was to recognize the traditional skills and to also recognize the need for contemporizing them, making them relevant in an ever-changing market scenario. So if we look at the world today, I think increasingly people are beginning to recognize that craft goes beyond being just traditional and decorative. Craft is, as I said earlier, socially relevant. It is authentic. It is based on the use of natural material, time-tested craft processes. Environmentally, the craft processes use very little energy. They leave virtually no carbon prints. And it is also, as Chandra had raised yesterday, for agricultural communities in rural areas, it continues to be one of the largest employers. So it is a economic livelihood option for disadvantaged producers. Again, from a very niche local market, crafts we've seen increasingly moved out in our context to the urban Indian and to international markets. We still recognize that there is a tremendous potential for growth in this sector, but this can only be achieved with the required infrastructure which needs to be provided, as well as opportunities to network with consumers, with buyers, with governments, with other agencies. And again, we go back to issues of craft and its relevance. Is this the way really to move ahead to address issues of poverty and of disadvantaged people? And again, we will confirm that crafts does preserve ancient culture. It is a viable income generation option, gives dignity and is environmentally benign, as I've said earlier. One of the key issues, and I think Chandra has even raised it in his presentation, what holds us back is that very often the traditional craft processes, the traditional tools, limit the production capability, limit the production quality, limit the production efficiency of crafts. And to get around that problem, the solution does not lie in bringing in very elaborate machinery. It really is bringing in appropriate technology, sometimes just very, very minor shifts in the craft process, just the introduction of small tools, equipment, which can take the tedium away, the struggle away from the craft process, can make the process itself reduce occupational hazards. And it can also bring in the required efficiency. If we want to move from a production or a market demand of 50 to 5,000 units, then introduction of this technology can make it possible. Again, as I've been meeting some of our buyers in the Korean market, and they've been talking about the high quality which the consumer requires. Yes, to see that it is handmade, finding a balance between retaining the handmade and keeping a certain efficiency and keeping the cost factor. As we heard earlier, for food people will still pay more if they know it's organic, it's safe, it's good for the child. But for crafts, if you're getting something made from China, which is just a very discerning eye will say it's handmade or otherwise. So to keep the price factor also under control, what is required is introduction of technology. There's just one instance, I have a couple of examples which I can quickly give you about how technology has helped certain of our craft producers. This is a hand block and screen printing unit. They used to mix colors more or less like the housewife mixes spices, just, okay, the dyer knows so much of this, so much of that. And then, of course, you'd get a color which is not quite right or it varies, etc. So one of the first things we did with the unit was to set down, give them weighing scales, other tools, equipments, facilities to dye small units of fabric. So just that made a huge difference. Also during the monsoons there is so much humidity that when you're printing, the cloth doesn't dry soon enough, and the moisture tampers with the clarity of the print, etc. So one of the solutions which we are looking at is providing heating tables. You use heat very judiciously in Korea and in Japan, but something like that, using those cables under the tables to absorb the moisture. So this unit, in fact, over a period of time, from being very, very small, has grown almost in about 5 years to about 15 times over. And this has been possible because where the demand was growing, they were able to produce more, they were able to maintain the quality and the consistency. Again, I have another example which is not there in a slide, but it is of traditional stone carvers from Orissa, and they would even break the stone with hand tools, and even the rough carving was done with the hand. So it was all so tedious and so costly and so heavy, the stone, that we just didn't find markets for it. Then last year we introduced 3 very simple tools, motorized. One was for cutting the stone, and with a small equipment which would absorb all the dust away, so they weren't taking in the dust, and another equipment for cutting out the stone so it became lighter, and a third tool, again all motorized, for making rough carving, and only for the fine carving was the craftsperson used. And this helped solve, with the use of the tools and just appropriate technology, this helped to make the product better in quality, low cost, and easier for the artisan. And of course, we all know about information and communication technology, and in India, again, at least with the bigger producers, introduction of that has made a sea change in our communication with the producers. And in India, it's also available in different languages, so that has helped. We cannot. A lot of work Sasha had to do in this area to give grants of computers, etc., to the producers, but they have taken it on, and today are not all of them, but at least a few have led the way in using emails and also surfing the net to find out, to source technical information, see what the market requirements are, etc. And this has helped considerably. Please help me keep a tab on the time, Myong. Yeah, I shouldn't lose that. That was as far as technology. And now design and product development, I think everyone who is in the craft sector will acknowledge that design and product innovation and development is key to keeping your place in the market. So in Sasha we have a very multi-tiered market, and therefore the need for having design and product development as an ongoing activity. We cater to the fair trade market, we go to very high-end boutique markets, the local bazaars, national markets, and international markets. So how does Sasha do it? We have an in-house team which interfaces between the producers on the one hand and the customers. For the producers, we identified their competencies, skills, as well as what are the local raw material sources which are available to the producer group. On our part, we also encourage the producers to see for themselves what the market trends are, but the Sasha team also studies the markets, is in touch with the buyers, and then with our producers we translate it all to them and we involve them in the entire design activity. And each effort is for a specific market segment. And then of course we create the linkages through the market, through our promotion, branding, retailing, etc., etc. We have launched two ranges in the marketplace, and which were branded ranges. Currently again Sasha is working, though most of our products are sold to the buyers and the buyers sell it under their own brand, but Sasha is currently working to launch its own brand also in the marketplace, which is a source of great pride to the producers. At Sasha, one of the things which we've respected at Sasha is that the communication between the producers and the design people. It's not that the designers will come or will sit in their own offices, send design. It's extremely important for us that the producers, the craftsperson, the artisans work very, very closely with the designers, and the designers need to understand their skills, their sensibilities, their priorities, their needs, and then together and collaboratively they produce a product. And we've also recognized at Sasha any intervention, whether it's with technology, with design innovation, with other kind of trainings, we have to always recognize what is the core value, what is the core skill, what is the core tradition, and that needs to be retained, whether the objects are traditional or they are contemporary. We have also recognized in our own countries and from the experience of other cultures that sometimes a wrong intervention, too much mechanization, can kill a craft rather than sustain it. We are, of course, Sasha, as a business model, we are founded on fair trade principles. Our export figures have grown. Sometimes, as I was sharing with Chandra, our orders have grown, and he says he has a similar experience. But we need to build the capacity more. And building that capacity requires that we have the technical and intervention to upgrade the production capacity. Do I have time to talk about the Kantha story now? Myong, how am I doing? I can talk about it. Now, just to illustrate what we have been doing through Sasha intervention in a traditional craft. This is a Kantha, and Kantha is really like every society has it, old fabric put together, hand stitched, and this is used as a quilt for the family, for the babies or whatever. I think everyone does it, and this is very unique to India, Calcutta, the area where I come from, West Bengal, and to Bangladesh. So Sasha, about 25 years ago, markets, wholesalers in the local market, paying the woman a very, very small amount, and also not recognizing what the beauty of the stitch was. They were doing it for the commercial market, not focusing on design, not focusing on the skill, but just very roughly, and paying virtually nothing. So what did we do? We talked to the older women in the communities. We collected their stories. We collected their old pieces. We went to the museums, including to the Victoria and Albert in London, and went to a lot of collectors in Bangladesh. We got all our sources together and we worked with the women, reviving the old skills, etc., as a first step. Then the second step was making a collection which was more relevant for us in today's living. So you had the old and the new, and we did exhibitions in museums, in public places, to make even the consumer aware that this was the old, the most beautiful, which you don't see anymore, and this is what you can use in your everyday. This started 25 years ago, and today this is one of our strongest ranges in Sasha. We sell all over the place, including, I must tell you, these old recycled saris from the market, which we are now making up into bags and jackets, etc. And recently, one of our buyers from the US has sold it to Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love. She's carrying that bag from Sasha, made from this material. So, which is, a source of great pride to us. So the Sasha way, as I've said, is a collaborative way. We developed contemporary products with a clear view of the market, but we don't blindly follow trends. We make products that are functional, innovative, but that retain the essence of the craft and craftsperson. And this is very, very important to us, that the craft is enriching both for the producer and for the buyer. The buyer buys something special for themselves or for their dear ones, and for the producer it's a gift because the producer makes something which is of beauty and which he or she values. Thank you very much.
반갑습니다. 저는 아름다운 가게에서 일하는 이강백입니다. My name is Gangbek Lee from South Korea. I work for Beautiful Store as Executive Director of Fairtrade Division. It's very nice to meet you all. I'm very honored to have a chance to give a short presentation. about marketing of fairtrade production based on the experience of a beautiful store. This presentation will take about 15 minutes, and I will spare some time at the end for questions. Fair trade, I'd like to tell you how fair trade has expanded in Korea. The history of fair trade is very short in Korea. But in that short history, Korean fair trade achieved substantial growth. Now we have 8 fair trade organizations. Aggregated sales of fair trade has increased exponentially from KRW 70 million in 2004 to KRW 8,000 million in 2009. Hardly known concept in 2004 is now very widely recognized. More than half of the question answered they have heard about fair trade. About 16% knew the meaning and the implication of fair trade. How was it possible? Young generation Korean does not remember. Young generation of Korean does not remember poverty in the past, but the older generation still remembers the pain of poverty vividly. As a nation who knows the pain of poverty, Koreans are ready to sympathize and from solidarity with the people in need in developing country. Fair trade provides means to express such sympathy by providing very easy means of changing purchasing behavior. Another reason of success is that fair trade production was successful in meeting hidden demands of the people. Most of fair trade products are free from pesticides. They are grown from the area that does not or cannot use the pesticides. Beautiful Store is started as an NGO and social enterprise who runs a charity shop to promote recycling and sharing. As we started in 2002, we also launched the fair trade business to sell fair trade items in charity shops. In 2002, fair trade was not very well known in Korea, and Beautiful Store played an important role to raise awareness on fair trade. With other pioneers of fair trade in Korea, such as Fair Trade Korea Group. Recently, we opened 110 charity shops, and we have 4 coffee shops. Selling fair trade coffee and chocolate, we have 300 full-time paid staff, 7,000 volunteers. Annually, there are 500,000 individual donors who give their used items to our shops, and 2 million customers who visit our shops. Beautiful Store's sales is growing rapidly with the brand name of the Beautiful Coffee. In 2006, we started to sell Nepali coffee on the name of Gift Himalaya. Later on, we launched consecutively Peruvian coffee as a gift of Andes. Ugandan as a gift of Kilimanjaro. And we became the model of successful business with a fair trade. The average annual growth rate is about 250% recently, and we are trying to broaden our market by launching new products such as chocolate, black tea, and soluble coffee. As of 2009, our share in the fair trade market in Korea is 30%. We are supplying our coffee to about 2,000 retailers, including large supermarkets such as Tesco Home Plus, which is a joint venture of Tesco with the Korean company Samsung. If you look at this graph showing our distribution channel, 37% is distributed through our partner cafes, 12% is through distributors, 30% is sold in our own shops and cafes, 12% is sold via online shopping mall. I would like to summarize our success factors as the following. First, brand management strategy. We started fair trade and our charity shop at the same time, but the fair trade division dealing with the craft item was not very successful in the beginning. However, fair trade coffee became a huge success since 2006. And we think this was because of our careful selection and promotion of our brand. We first made our generic brand name as a Beautiful Coffee, since Beautiful Store succeeded to build high recognition. Just before our coffee brand, the coffee brand could benefit from the positive image of the name Beautiful Store. Our coffee package also have a name to show its origin, and we select Gift of Himalaya, Gift of Kilimanjaro, and Gift of Andes. Incidentally, these names of mountains all had been familiar to consumers in Korea. Second, creative approach to market. Korean market was divided into high-end specialized coffee houses and raw and soluble coffee mix consumed home and at offices. We paid attention to home and office market and realized that there is unsatisfied demand for coffee with a better quality to consume home and at offices. We introduced deep drip bag cup type, coffee bag, and bulk packaging of ground beans with high quality Arabica beans. Market reaction from coffee experts were very good. Consumers appreciate the taste of coffee very much, and they willingly pay the high price, not just because our coffee is giving benefit to the producers in developing countries, but because our coffee providing good quality. Private companies launched high quality Arabica coffee for home and office use, but as we had established loyalty from our customers, we could maintain our sales despite the competition with the large food companies. What I'm trying to say now is that the consumer don't buy fair trade products just because they are fair trade. They buy the products because they satisfy their demand. Fair trade organization approaching developed country have to develop their strategy based on understanding of market demand. They have to find the niche in the market. Further, infrastructure and utilization of online shopping mall. Korea has the fastest internet infrastructure in the world, and the general public, especially young generation, have had a tendency to utilize the internet for every aspect of their lives. They have no objection to shopping through the internet, and they like to share what they like. With their friends through the internet. As I said a little while ago, 12% of our sales are made through online shopping mall, and coffee experts and young people spread word about our coffee in the blog when they liked the idea and taste of our coffee. Fourth, participation of young volunteers and fair trade campaigns. This photo was young volunteers. Was taken from one of the fair trade campaign done by campaigns of university students called Coffee Commandos. Young people at their 20s and 30s have much interest in participating social activity with a social cause, and at the same time they constitute biggest part of our demand. Volunteer network with the active participation of young generation is our greatest asset, and we are really proud of them. Niche in the Korean coffee market was a demand for the high quality coffee for the usage in the home and office. To drink hand-drink coffee, one needs sophisticated skill and equipment. This was only possible in high-end coffee houses in Korea. By introducing disposable drip-back coffee, beautiful coffee succeeded to draw attention of customers. This can be a good example of the fair trade marketing campaign. The value of the fair trade could be boosted by the good marketing strategies. First time in Korea, Beautiful Store launched a fair trade organic chocolate without any milk fat. It consists of only cacao butter, cacao powder, and sugar that is a fair trade and organic. With a full body tasty, it appealed to the consumers who subscribe to dark chocolate. With no additive, it appealed to the consumers who seek to safe and healthy food. In addition, working with the Lisa's advertisement lab, it succeeded to build a brand image to emphasize the concept of the barista product and appealed to ethical consumers. Marketing campaign also drew attention of young people by simple and intimidating message. In this poster, it says, "Eat too much and become big. Better exercise after eating." Unlike the showy packaging of the existing chocolate, it approached the young people with a different appeal. First, recognition of fair trade concept stays at only at 11% as of 2009. We want to raise this to 30% at the end of 2010. Second, quality control. Korean consumers are notorious in their picky taste. It's very difficult to satisfy, especially for food products. Even for fair trade products, they require high quality standards. Coffee experts share their opinion on the taste of coffee products. And once you get better reputation from them, it's very difficult to recover reputation. This is one of the biggest challenges for us because we have to find the balance between the producer's ability and the needs of the customers. Lastly, lack of experience in international development project management. At the moment, engagement with international development is quite new to Korean people, as it has not been very long since Korea turned from aid recipients to donor country. Koreans don't have much experience in international development. KOICA was established as International Development Agency of Korea. But it is different from fair trade until now, when fair trade was expanding rapidly in Europe, especially in 1990s. There are many NGOs, international development agencies, with a long history and much experience in the field, such as UNICEF, Oxfam, NDP. In Korea, the government development agency, KOICA, does not have a development experience. There are not many NGOs with experience. Management of development projects requires careful approach because sometimes actions with good intentions can have unexpected side effects that can harm the people in developing countries. We wish we can make a successful model for cooperation of fair trade organizations and government development agencies. We wish Korean fair trade organizations and development agencies can make desirable combinations, as can be seen in examples such as the film and tradecraft or GTZ and Cafe Direct. Next step. The Beautiful Store plans to overcome this challenge with the following efforts. I'm sorry. We plan to invite religious groups, civil society, and other organizations interested in fair trade movement to initialize the movement to establish Korea Fair Trade Foundation to raise awareness for development issues and increase recognition of fair trade products and organizations. We will work with the new foundation to enable fair trade movement to take root in every corner of Korean society by increasing communities in universities, schools, churches, religious groups to lead a community-based campaign for fair trade. We will cooperate with the government to bring bigger benefit to developing countries and establish stronger relationship with the produce in developing country and expand the Korean market for fair trade. We wish to build close relationship with the produce network in Asia. To summarize, especially in new markets like Korea and other Asian markets, it will be also important to pay attention to marketing strategy. In these markets, the benefit of fair trade Korea to poor producers is not very well widely recognized. It's very important to invite to customers to have a first contact and build confidence in the benefit of fair trade. To do this, we should plan the marketing very carefully. Craft marketing is very different from coffee industry. However, I believe that more attention to new and innovative strategy can also benefit fair trade craft and fashion products as well. Until now, fair trade coffee in Korea has expanded at incredible speed, quantitatively partly due to the success of marketing. We are well aware that challenges we will face from now on are not minor. However, we have never stepped back when our challenges looked invincible. To make a fair trade networks of Korea to really benefit developing countries, we need a deep understanding of development context through close relationship with the producers' networks. As one of the pioneers of Korea's fair trade movement, the Beautiful Store will continue cooperate with other fair trade organizations to raise awareness of fair trade in Korea. We will work closely with the Korean Development Agency and broader overseas fair trade networks to bring real change to developing countries. I believe with all of you here, with us and with our friends working for fair trade around the world, we can make happen the real change and make a poverty forgotten world of the past. Thank you.